March has been an interesting month. We basically went down and had a look at the LED factory where they're producing the LED lights for the project, or the majority of the lights that are going in. And that's actually in Victoria here. It's half an hour away. So we went down and had a look at the process of what they were doing. Also went and finalised exactly what product we're going to be using and making sure they work, because we're now at the stage that we're actually doing the final fit off for the plumbing, the final fit off for all the electrical work as well, and then the light fittings and so on are going to be going in, or have gone in, some of them, and it depends on, I guess, the sequencing and where they're going, because we've got some LED lights that are actually going to be in the balustrades and the handrails, so they can't go until right at the end after the glass is installed and so on. So we went to Coulon LED, where they manufacture the light fittings, as I was saying before, and it was amazing to see that this product's actually made here as well. And we're doing some really, really interesting things with it, where we're putting it in the actual timber structural beams, where we're routing out the timber and then recessing the lights up in those. So when they're off, you might not even notice that they're there, and when they're on, they're very, very discreet, I guess, in the positions that they're in the handrails and in the beams. Also, we're using them in the bathrooms, so we're using a lot of strip LED lights in there, and we're using those in the bathrooms. Then we're also using traditional downlights, and it's the combination of those, and even with the strip lights, there's different versions of those as well being used, where in some instances externally using the LED lights with actual lenses in front of there, so we can control the spill of the light. So on the external of the building, on the front facade, we've got these sort of narrow oval beam optics that are redirecting the light in an oval sort of shape, so it only I guess washes the front of the building and then sits over the front facade and the entrance point to the house, and it's not lighting up the whole laneway or anything like that. So it's controlling that light as well. That's very important with what we're doing. Yeah, it's been quite exciting, because we've got the kitchen cabinetry in already, and we also now, in the last month, been installing the fridge, freezer, oven, dishwasher, and then also the cooktop, because we're getting the benches in, and we've got the benches and so on finished, and parts of it that are going to be finished. So it's been quite exciting seeing those elements go in, and how well they fit, because we had custom kitchen built, and everything's just looking very compact and very efficient, and that's what I want, very slick. So it's quite exciting. I can't wait for everything to be fired up and we can start testing all the appliances to make sure they're functioning correctly. Another dimension to the build that I think is going to change everything. At the moment, it's all been structural, it's all been mechanical, it's all been hard surfaces, plumbing, electrical, all these sort of things. But we just got delivery off the plants, and they're the plants that are going in the planter boxes on the west wall, and they're all edible plants. So it's herbs, basically, and chilies and things like that, stuff that we can consume, and they'll be accessible through the windows from the inside. So on the kitchen, living level, bedroom level, and then on the roof deck as well, we'll have full access to them. And we're going to be putting them in planter boxes that are self-watering, so I'll only need to water them once a week or once a fortnight, depending on summer or winter, and they have a reservoir of water at the bottom. And they're also in narrow strips, so we can rotate the plants as we harvest them as well, so we can move them to the top, where you're not going to be harvesting, where on the kitchen living level you're going to be harvesting them, so we can rotate those through and have multiples of the same plants. The geothermal is being fitted off as well at the moment, so it's the final buffer tank that's going in, and the control systems and so on. So that's all coming to shape, and so's the ducting and the ventilation for the ventilation systems going in. I'm doing majority of that sort of work. We've got all the ducting running on the south side externally. That was a foam board that we used, and that was quite interesting that we use that, and I actually was quite happy to use that because on site we could customise it and you could work with it on site. Because the building's so tight, we had to put tiny little S-bends in and things like that. Otherwise, it just would have increased the length of the project. Where if we did it out of steel, which would be a traditional way of doing it, it would take a lot longer because you'd have to get that customised bend made, and there'd be delays and so on in waiting for those. With this, we're not only able to work with it on site, but they're also insulated, so it's performing a double function. We are using flexible duct internally, but the internal or the flexible duct is not as efficient as rigid duct. So on the longer runs, which are running on the outside of the building, we've got external solid rigid ducting, and then internally we've got the flexible ducting. So what we've done also is we've installed a solar on the roof deck on the top. We still have to do the north facade, which we're going to get to next month, but it's been great because we've installed the microinverters and fitted all that off. So everything's starting to come together now. We're starting to do all the finishes, and that's what will be happening next month. So it's quite exciting times coming forward now, and everything's just getting finished off. So it's quite interesting.